My eyes snapped open in the dead of night, heart pounding, as the sharp glint of scissors caught the moonlight. "You'll never outshine your sister," my mother's voice hissed, low and venomous, her silhouette looming over my bed. I reached up, trembling, and felt nothing. My long, cherished hair gone. Jagged, uneven clumps brushed my shoulders, a cruel mockery of the waves I'd spent years growing. Panic clawed at my chest. This wasn't a dream. I stumbled to the mirror in my tiny Seattle apartment. The city's neon glow seeping through the blinds. The reflection staring back was a stranger. My hair, once a cascade of auburn that caught every light, was hacked off, leaving a choppy mess that screamed sabotage. On the dresser, a pair of art scissors my mother's, the ones she used for her scrapbooking, lay neatly beside a sticky note. Her handwriting was unmistakable. "Don't distract from Lily's moment. Focus on your speech." The words hit like a slap, cold and deliberate. I sank to the floor. Strands of my hair scattered across the pillow, like fragments of a life I'd fought to build. My name is Emma Carter. I'm 27, a graphic designer clawing my way up in Seattle's cutthroat art scene. This city, with its sleek skyscrapers and misty waterfront, hums with ambition. But for me, it's been a battleground. I've spent years carving out a space for myself, chasing gigs, scraping by, all while carrying the weight of a family that never saw me as enough. My younger sister, Lily, is the golden child, the one my parents, Margaret and Robert, poured their love and money into. She's 24, a painter whose abstract canvases have galleries buzzing. Me, I'm the afterthought, the one who paid her own way through college, who learned to smile through the comparisons. Lily's big break came this year, a solo exhibition at the prestigious Horizon Gallery in downtown Seattle. It's the kind of event that draws critics, collectors, and Instagram influencers with their curated feeds. When Lily asked me to give a speech at the opening, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the moment my family sees me, not as a shadow, but as someone who matters. I spent weeks designing posters for the event, pouring my soul into every pixel, and practicing my speech until it felt like a song. I even bought a sleek, emerald green dress that hugged my curves, a rare splurge with my own hard-earned cash. For once, I wanted to stand tall, to feel like I belonged under those gallery lights. But that note, those scissors, that betrayal, it shattered everything. My mother's words echoed in my mind. Don't distract from Lily's moment. As if my existence, my effort, my presence could somehow dim her star. I clutched the note, my knuckles white, and felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about hair. This was about a lifetime of being trimmed down, made small, to prop up someone else. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I grabbed my phone and dialed Sarah, my best friend, a freelance photographer who's seen me through every bruise this family has left. Her voice was groggy but sharp when she answered. "Emma! What's wrong? I could barely speak. My throat tight. They cut my hair. Sarah, my own parents, they drugged me and cut it while I slept." There was a long pause. Then her voice hardened. "I'm coming over, right now." As I waited, staring at the wreckage in the mirror, I realized this was bigger than a bad haircut. This was war, and I wasn't going to let them win. Not this time. The morning light barely pierced the Seattle fog as I stood in my cramped kitchen, the sticky note still crumpled in my fist. My reflection in the toaster showed the jagged edges of my hair, a constant reminder of last night's betrayal. The apartment was quiet, save for the distant hum of traffic, but my mind screamed with questions. Why did they hate me so much? Why was I always the one who had to shrink? I poured coffee, hands shaking, and tried to piece together how I'd ended up here, the daughter nobody celebrated. Growing up in the Carter household, I was the shadow to Lily's light. My parents, Margaret and Robert, built their world around her. Lily got private art lessons at 10. Her sketches framed and hung in the living room like museum pieces. I got a pat on the head for my doodles and a lecture about practical skills. By high school, Lily was winning national art contests, her name in local papers, while I worked weekends at a coffee shop to save for a laptop. College Lily got a full ride to a fancy art school, courtesy of my parents' savings. I cobbled together loans and scholarships, moving out at 19 to escape the constant comparisons. "Emma, don't be jealous," my mother would say, her voice sharp. "Lily's special. You'll find your place." My place, apparently, was invisible. Even now, at 27, I was still the one they managed, not cherished. Lily's exhibition at Horizon Gallery was their crowning achievement, a glittering stage for their perfect daughter. When she asked me to speak at the opening, I'd hoped it was a gesture of sisterhood, a chance to bridge the gap between us. I spent hours crafting a speech that honored her talent, but also showed who I was: a designer, a creator, someone with her own fire. I even designed the event's branding, from the invites to the massive banners that would hang above the gallery's sleek glass doors. It was my work, my sweat, my heart. But my parents saw it differently. I called my mother, voice tight, hoping for something, an apology, maybe. She picked up on the third ring, her tone clipped. "Emma, you're up early. Everything okay?" I gripped the phone, the words spilling out. "You cut my hair. Mom, you drugged me and cut it." "Why?" There was a pause, then a sigh, like I was the one being unreasonable. "Oh, Emma, don't be dramatic. Your hair was too much. It drew attention. This is Lily's moment, not yours." My stomach twisted. "Too much. You think I'm a threat because of my hair?" She didn't hesitate. "You know how people are. They'll focus on you, not her art. We're just keeping things balanced." I hung up, her words burning. Balanced. That's what they called it when they dimmed me to make Lily shine. My father was no better. I texted him. A last-ditch effort. "Dad, did you know about this?" His reply came fast, cold. Hair grows back. "Emma, don't make a scene. Lily's worked hard for this." I stared at the screen, the weight of their dismissal crushing. They didn't just cut my hair. They cut me out, piece by piece, to protect their golden child. Then there was Claire, Lily's manager at Horizon Gallery, a sharp-edged woman with a fake smile and a knack for control. I'd met her at a planning meeting for the exhibition, where she barely glanced at my designs before praising Lily's vision. Later, I overheard her talking to my mother at a coffee shop, her voice low. "Emma's talented, sure, but we can't let her steal Lily's thunder. Keep her in check." Margaret, it hit me like a punch. Claire wasn't just Lily's ally. She was threatened by me. My designs, my speech, my presence. They were risks to her carefully curated narrative of Lily as the sole star. Sarah arrived at my apartment, her camera bag slung over her shoulder, eyes blazing when she saw my hair. "They did this to you, your own family, and Claire's in on it." I nodded, voice breaking. "They think I'll ruin everything just by existing." Sarah's jaw tightened. "They're wrong. Emma, you're not the problem. They're scared of what you could be." Her words sparked something in me, a flicker of defiance. I wasn't ready to fight yet, But I was done hiding. This family, this city, this moment, they weren't going to erase me. Not anymore. The Seattle rain tapped against my apartment window, a soft rhythm that did nothing to calm the storm inside me. I stood frozen in my bedroom, staring at the art scissors on my dresser, their blades still flecked with strands of my auburn hair. The sticky note from my mother, Margaret, lay crumpled beside them. Its words seared into my brain. Don't distract from Lily's moment. My fingers traced the uneven ends of my hair, each jagged cut a fresh wound. This wasn't an accident. This was calculated, cruel, and so very them. I pieced it together as the fog in my head cleared. Last night, my mother had insisted on bringing me tea before bed, her smile too tight, her voice too sweet. You need to rest, Emma. Big day coming up. I'd sipped it, trusting her, feeling the warmth lull me into a heavy, unnatural sleep. Now, the bitter aftertaste lingered in my memory. Benadryl, maybe, or something stronger. They drugged me, waited until I was out cold, and then, snip, my parents, the people who raised me, had crept into my room and hacked away the one thing I'd always loved about myself. All to keep me from distracting from Lily's precious exhibition. I marched to the kitchen, where the morning light exposed every crack in my reality. My parents were already there, sitting at my tiny table like nothing had happened. My father, Robert, scrolled through his phone, his coffee mug steaming. My mother flipped through a magazine, her nails clicking against the pages. I held up the scissors, my voice shaking but steady. You did this. You drugged me and cut my hair. How could you? Robert barely looked up. Emma, calm down. It's just hair. It'll grow back. His tone was flat, like he was commenting on the weather. My mother sighed, setting the magazine down. You were drawing too much attention, sweetheart. That long hair, that dress you picked, it's all too loud. Lily's the star of this show. You're there to support her, not compete. Her words were a blade, slicing deeper than the scissors ever could. Compete. I'd spent weeks designing their banners, polishing their event, pouring my soul into a speech to lift Lily up. And this was my reward. I felt my knees buckle, but I gripped the counter to stay upright. You think I'm a threat because I exist, because I dared to look good for once. My mother's eyes narrowed, her voice icy. Don't twist this. Emma, we're protecting Lily's moment. You'll thank us later when you see how perfect her night is. My father nodded, finally glancing at me. You're making this bigger than it is. Short hair suits you. Less distracting. The room spun. They weren't sorry. They weren't even ashamed. They sat there, smug, convinced they'd done me a favor. I wanted to scream, to throw the scissors across the room, but I just stood there, silenced by their indifference. That's when I knew this wasn't just about hair. It was about control, about keeping me small so Lily could shine. My phone buzzed, snapping me out of the haze. It was Sarah, my best friend, texting, "I'm outside. Let me in." I opened the door, and she stormed in, her camera bag swinging, her eyes widening as she took in my chopped hair. Oh my God, Emma, they did this. On purpose, I nodded, tears finally spilling over. They drugged me, Sarah, my own parents, and Claire. She's part of it. Sarah's face hardened as I told her what I'd overheard Claire, Lily's gallery manager, whispering to my mother about keeping me in check. Sarah paced, furious. This is sick. They're scared of you. Emma, your talent, your presence. It threatens their little fantasy of Lily as the only star. She grabbed my shoulders, her voice fierce. You don't have to take this. We can fight back. Show them who you really are. Her words were a lifeline, pulling me from the edge. I wasn't ready to plan. Not yet. But the seed was planted. My family thought they'd broken me, that I'd slink away and play my role. They were wrong. I glanced at the scissors, then at Sarah, and felt a spark ignite. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The rain had stopped, leaving Seattle's streets slick and shimmering under the streetlights. I sat on my couch, the apartment dim except for the glow of my phone. Sarah was sprawled on the floor, her camera bag open, gear scattered like she was ready to wage war. My hacked-off hair felt foreign against my neck, each uneven strand a reminder of my parents' betrayal. I was still reeling, but Sarah's presence anchored me. We need a plan. Emma, she said, her voice steady. But first, let's figure out how deep this goes. I'd always recorded snippets of my life, random thoughts, moments, arguments on my phone. It started as a way to process things for therapy, to make sense of the family that never made sense. Now, those recordings felt like a weapon. I opened the app, scrolling through weeks of audio, my thumb trembling. I don't know what I'm looking for. I admitted, voice low. Sarah leaned closer. Anything that proves they planned this. Anything that shows who they really are. I hit play on a clip from a month ago, recorded at a family dinner. My mother's voice crackled through the speaker, sharp and dismissive. Emma's designs are fine, but they're not Lily. We can't let her overshadow the exhibition. My father's gruff laugh followed. She won't. She knows her place. I froze, the words cutting deeper than I expected. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Keep going, she urged. Another clip. This one from 2 weeks back, at a gallery planning meeting. Claire's voice, smooth and venomous, sliced through the static. Emma's speech needs to be short. Margaret. Her designs are already too prominent. We can't have her stealing Lily's spotlight. My mother's reply was chilling. Don't worry. We'll make sure she doesn't stand out. A little adjustment, and she'll blend right in. My stomach churned. Adjustment. That's what they called drugging me, cutting my hair, stripping away my confidence. I played one more, from just days ago, when Claire visited our house. Her tone was conspiratorial, almost gleeful. The hair's the key. Margaret, it's her crutch, her armor. Take it away, and she'll shrink back where she belongs. My mother's laugh was soft, approving. You're right. It's perfect. She'll never suspect us. The recording ended, and silence swallowed the room. Sarah's jaw was tight, her fists clenched. They didn't just betray you. Emma, they planned it. Claire's as guilty as your parents. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. It wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment cruelty. This was a plot, deliberate and cold, to keep me small. My whole life. I'd thought their jabs about my looks, my work, my dreams were careless. Now I saw the truth they were calculated. A campaign to prop up Lily by breaking me. I looked at Sarah, tears burning my eyes. They've been doing this forever, haven't they? Making me feel like I'm nothing. Sarah grabbed my hand, her voice fierce. You're not nothing. You're a force. Emma, they're scared of you because you're talented, because you don't need their approval to shine. Her words hit hard, cracking the shell I'd built around my heart. For the first time, I didn't feel like the overlooked daughter. I felt powerful, dangerous even. Sarah pulled out her laptop, her eyes glinting. We could share this, you know? Put it online, let the world hear what they did. It'd ruin their perfect little narrative. I hesitated, fear creeping in. What if no one believes me? What if they twist it? Make me the villain? Sarah shook her head. The truth is on your side, and you've got me. We'll make them listen. I stared at the recordings, each one a piece of evidence, a map of their cruelty. My family thought they'd silenced me, that I'd show up at Lily's exhibition, meek and diminished, reading their script, but they'd underestimated me. I wasn't going to hide anymore. I didn't have a plan yet, but I had the truth, and that was enough to start a fire. The Seattle skyline glittered through my apartment window, a mosaic of lights that felt like a challenge. I stood in my bathroom, staring at the mirror, the jagged remains of my hair, a stark reminder of my family's betrayal. Sarah was in the living room, her voice a steady hum as she edited photos on her laptop. But her presence gave me courage. The recordings on my phone, my mother's cold plotting, Claire's venomous suggestions burned in my mind. They thought they'd broken me, that I'd slink to Lily's exhibition and play the dutiful sister. They were about to learn how wrong they were. I grabbed a pair of scissors, not my mother's, but my own, and handed them to Sarah. "Fix this," I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. "Make me look like someone they can't ignore." Sarah's eyes lit up, a grin spreading across her face. "Oh, Emma, you're about to be unstoppable." She worked quickly, her hands deft, transforming the hacked-off mess into a sleek, edgy bob that framed my face like a weapon. When she stepped back, I barely recognized myself. The woman in the mirror was sharp, bold, unafraid. "You look like you're ready to burn their world down," Sarah whispered, brushing a stray strand into place. We moved to the kitchen table, my laptop open, the speech my parents had approved glowing on the screen. It was bland, predictable, full of praise for Lily's unique vision, and not a single word about me. I deleted it, line by line, and started over. My fingers flew across the keys, pouring out the truth about the scissors, the tea, the years of being dimmed so Lily could shine. This wasn't just a speech. It was a reckoning. Sarah read over my shoulder, nodding. "This is you. Emma, this is the real you." But doubt crept in, heavy and cold. What if I stood up at Horizon Gallery and choked? What if the crowd turned on me? Believed my family's lies. Instead, I voiced the fear, my voice small. What if they hate me? Sarah, what if I'm just not enough? She slammed her laptop shut, eyes blazing. "They don't get to decide your worth. You're enough. You've always been enough. And after tomorrow, they'll know it." Her words steeled me. But the stakes kept rising. My phone buzzed with an email from a major client, a tech startup I'd been designing a campaign for. The subject line made my heart sink. "Project canceled." I opened it, scanning the curt message. They'd heard concerns about my professionalism. Rumors spread by Claire, who'd whispered to industry contacts that I was unstable and disruptive. My hands shook with rage. This wasn't just about my family anymore. Claire was trying to erase my career, to ensure I'd never outshine Lily or her. I showed Sarah the email, expecting her to curse. Instead, she laughed, sharp and defiant. "She's scared. Emma, Claire knows you're a threat, and she's flailing. This is your chance to prove her wrong." She was right. The cancellation hurt, but it lit a fire in me. I wasn't just fighting for myself now, I was fighting for every dream they'd tried to crush. We stayed up late, plotting. I'd walk into that gallery, not as the sister they'd scripted, but as Emma Carter, unapologetic and unafraid. I'd deliver my speech, play the recordings, and let the truth do the rest. Sarah suggested filming it, just in case the crowd's reaction gave us something to share. "The world needs to see this," she said, her voice fierce. I nodded, feeling the weight of what was coming. Tomorrow, I'd face my family. Claire, and a room full of strangers. They thought they'd cut me down. But I was sharper than their scissors, and I was ready to strike. The Horizon Gallery glowed like a beacon in downtown Seattle, its glass facade reflecting the city's electric pulse. Inside, chandeliers cast a warm light over sleek white walls, where Lily's vibrant paintings commanded every eye. The air buzzed with chatter critics in tailored suits, influencers snapping selfies, collectors murmuring about six-figure bids. I stood at the edge of the crowd, my emerald green dress catching the light, my new bob sharp and defiant. My heart pounded, but my hands were steady, clutching the note cards I'd rewritten last night. This was it. The moment I'd take back everything they'd stolen. Sarah was nearby, her camera discreetly aimed, ready to capture whatever happened. I caught her eye, and she gave me a nod, fierce and unwavering. The recordings were cued on my phone, a ticking bomb in my pocket. My parents, Margaret and Robert, stood near Lily, their smiles polished, as if they hadn't drugged me and hacked off my hair 2 nights ago. Claire, in a black blazer, hovered close, whispering to a critic, her gaze flicking to me with a flash of unease. They thought I'd play their game, read their script, fade into the background. They were about to choke on their own lies. The gallery director tapped a microphone, and the room hushed. "We're thrilled to welcome Emma Carter, who'll introduce her sister, Lily, tonight's visionary." Polite applause rippled through the crowd as I stepped to the podium, my heels clicking on the polished floor. I set my note cards down, took a breath, and looked out at the sea of faces. My parents' smiles tightened. Claire's eyes narrowed. I began, my voice clear, steady. "Thank you all for being here to celebrate Lily's incredible work. Her art lights up this room. But tonight, I'm here to talk about something else." A murmur rippled through the crowd. I leaned closer to the mic, my words deliberate. I was supposed to read a speech about sisterhood, about family. But that speech was a lie, written by people who think love means control. My mother's face paled. My father shifted, his jaw tight. I kept going. 2 nights ago, my parents drugged me with spiked tea, waited until I was asleep, and cut off my hair. Why? Because they thought I'd overshadow Lily. Because they've spent my whole life trying to make me small. Gasps echoed. A woman in the front row dropped her wine glass, the shatter punctuating the silence. I pulled out my phone, my hand steady despite the adrenaline. "You don't have to believe me. Listen to them." I hit play, and my mother's voice filled the room, cold and calculated. "Emma's designs are too prominent. We'll make sure she doesn't stand out." Claire's voice followed, venomous. "The hair's her armor. Take it away, and she'll shrink." The crowd froze, eyes darting to my parents, to Claire, who looked like she'd been slapped. My father surged forward, his voice booming. "Enough! Emma, stop this nonsense." But I didn't flinch. I turned up the volume, letting my mother's laugh, cruel, approving, drown him out. "You don't get to silence me anymore," I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. "You cut my hair, but you can't cut my truth. I'm here, and I'm done being your shadow." Lily, standing near her largest painting, burst into tears, clutching her dress. "You're ruining everything," she sobbed. But her words were drowned by the crowd's murmurs, some outraged, some whispering in support. Claire tried to slip toward the exit, but a critic blocked her, demanding answers. The room was a powder keg. and I'd lit the match. Then, a voice cut through the noise. Olivia Grant, a legendary art critic in a crimson coat, standing at the back. Emma, your courage is the real art tonight. The crowd turned, stunned, as she walked forward, her presence commanding. Your designs for this event outshine half the work here. Show us your portfolio. Now. My breath caught. This wasn't part of the plan. Sarah, grinning, handed me my tablet, already open to my work. I projected it onto the gallery's screen, my bold, vibrant designs filling the space. The crowd applauded, some cheering, as Olivia nodded approvingly. My parents stood frozen, their perfect facade shattered. Claire was escorted out by security, her career in ruins. Lily's sobs faded into the background. I'd come to expose the truth. But I'd done more. I'd claimed the spotlight they'd fought to keep from me. And it felt like fire. The Seattle night was alive with energy, the city's pulse thrumming through the streets as I left Horizon Gallery, my emerald dress still catching the streetlights. The air felt lighter, like I'd shed a weight I'd carried for years. Sarah walked beside me, her camera slung over her shoulder, a grin splitting her face. You did it, Emma. You blew it all wide open. My phone buzzed nonstop texts, notifications, voicemails, but I ignored them. For the first time in forever, I felt free. By morning, the world had caught fire. Sarah had uploaded a clip of my speech to Instagram, captioned, "When they try to dim your light, shine brighter." The video exploded, racking up millions of views in hours. Strangers flooded the comments. "You're a hero, Emma. This is my family too." Influencers stitched it on TikTok, their lips syncing my words. "You don't get to silence me anymore." A local news outlet picked it up, then a national one. My truth, raw and unfiltered, was no longer just mine. It was a movement. The fallout hit my family like a wrecking ball. Margaret and Robert, once pillars of their upscale Seattle suburb, became pariahs. Neighbors who'd fawned over Lily's art shows now crossed the street to avoid them. A family friend, a curator who'd attended the exhibition, texted me privately. "I'm horrified. Emma, I had no idea." Lily's gallery lost 2 major sponsors, their statements citing ethical concerns. Claire, the mastermind behind my mother's plan, was fired from Horizon Gallery, her name blacklisted in Seattle's art scene. I didn't gloat, but I didn't cry for them either. They'd built this house of lies, and I'd torn it down. Then came the unexpected Olivia Grant. The critic, who'd turned the night in my favor, emailed me the next day. "Your designs are world-class. Emma, I'm curating a global art campaign in New York." Want in my hands shook as I read it. This wasn't just a job, it was a leap into the life I'd always dreamed of. I said yes, and within days, I was on calls with her team, sketching concepts that would hang in galleries from Tokyo to Paris. A Seattle art magazine reached out too, offering a feature, "The Designer Who Stole the Show." They wanted a photo shoot, my new bob-styled Sharp, my designs front and center. I stood under their studio lights, wrapped in a bold red jacket, and felt every inch of the woman I'd fought to become. Lily tried to reach me, her texts a mix of apologies and excuses. I didn't know they'd go that far. "Emma, please, let's talk." I read them, then archived them. Her tears at the gallery weren't for me. They were for her ruined spotlight. I wasn't ready to forgive. Not when the scars were still fresh. My parents stayed silent, their pride too stubborn to bend. That was fine. I didn't need their approval anymore. The real victory came weeks later, when I leased a small studio in Seattle's artsy Fremont district, just blocks from where Lily's banners once hung. My space was all glass and light, filled with my designs posters, digital art, campaign mock-ups. Young artists started dropping by, asking for advice, sharing their dreams. I wasn't just surviving. I was building something new, something mine. One night, as I hung a neon sign that read, "Shine unapologetically," Sarah stopped by with takeout. "You're a damn legend." You know that, she said, raising her soda can in a toast. I laughed, the sound easy, unburdened. I'm just getting started. The world kept watching. My story sparked podcasts, think pieces, even a viral Twitter thread about the art of reclaiming your narrative. Strangers DM'd me, sharing their own battles with families who dimmed them. Each message felt like a spark, proof that my fight wasn't just for me. It was for every person told they were too much, too loud, too bright. I'd turned my pain into power, and no one, not my parents, not Claire, not even Lily, could take that away. The Seattle skyline sparkled beyond the windows of my Fremont studio, a constellation of lights that felt like a mirror to the fire inside me. It was a year since the night at Horizon Gallery, and my life had transformed. My studio buzzed with energy sketches pinned to the walls, a glowing monitor displaying my latest campaign, and a steady stream of young artists seeking mentorship. I stood at the center of it all, my sleek bob now a signature, my confidence a quiet force. I'd built this world from the ashes of my family's betrayal, and it was more beautiful than anything they'd tried to steal. My parents, Margaret and Robert, showed up unannounced one evening, their shadows falling across the studio's glass door. I was mid-meeting with a client, discussing a mural project, when I saw them. Margaret wore a forced smile, her hands clutching a designer purse. Robert looked smaller, his shoulders hunched, the weight of their choices etched in his face. I excused myself and stepped forward, my voice calm but firm. "What do you want?" Margaret's eyes flickered. "Searching for an opening. Emma, we're proud of you. This place, your work, it's impressive." Her words were hollow. A performance. Robert cleared his throat, trying for warmth. "Families make mistakes. Right. We can move past this." I almost laughed. Mistakes. Drugging me, cutting my hair, plotting with Claire to keep me small that wasn't a misstep. It was a choice. I crossed my arms, my gaze steady. "You don't get to walk in here and act like nothing happened. You haven't been proud of me since I was a kid drawing in your kitchen, and now I don't need your pride." Margaret flinched, her smile crumbling. Robert opened his mouth, but I cut him off, gesturing to the door. "There's a comment box by the exit. Leave your feedback there. I've got people who actually value me waiting." They stood frozen, out of place in the space I'd carved for myself. Without another word, I turned away, returning to my client, my voice steady as I picked up where we'd left off. The door clicked shut behind them. They didn't come back. Lily never reached out again, her silence louder than her tears at the gallery. I heard she'd moved to Portland, chasing a fresh start, but her star had dimmed. Claire vanished from the art scene, her reputation in tatters. I didn't chase their stories. I was too busy writing my own. This journey taught me lessons I'll carry forever. First, your worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. Not your family's, not society's. I spent years believing I was less because my parents said so. Now I know my value is mine to define. Second, truth is a weapon. Speaking it, even when it shakes the room, can set you free and inspire others. Third, surround yourself with people like Sarah, those who lift you up, not tear you down. They're the family you choose. Finally, Pain can be a catalyst. What my family did hurt, but it pushed me to build a life they could never touch. I'm Emma Carter, and I'm not the shadow anymore. I'm the light, unapologetic and unbreakable. If you're out there, feeling dimmed, know this: you're enough. Your story matters. And when you're ready, the world will be waiting to see you shine.